it was absolutely incredible to have the opportunity, to be honest with you. And I think where Indian cricket were at the time was that they had a tumultuous period of not doing well in the 2007 World Cup under their coach Greg Chappell, who was an Australian, and there seemed to be a disconnect between the players and the leadership. And I think after that, at that point, they were looking for someone to complement the captain of the team that would, fit the personality of the team. And that's how, in a very bizarre fashion, my name came into the hat, I suppose, because I hadn't put my name in the hat.
And we've seen this across sports. Cricket, as you said, is still in its infancy with tech and, well, let's say data-driven decision making. Let's put it that way. But we've seen this a lot in all other sports that have gone through this life cycle, where every athlete needs a data translator. Effectively, so how do you somebody who can convert numbers on a spreadsheet or a piece of paper into actionable insights that I can use to improve my game and perform on the field? Of course, that's a part of I guess a part of the coach's job now, to be that interpreter, to do this translation function. But B, also there is somebody on the technical side who has to feed the coach.
Correct.
Because the coach suddenly doesn't become let's say, a technical analyst. So is that also part of the role now, to understand that the coaching team needs that role? Is that a new role that I think we've seen this in cricket over the last few years, that every team travels with an analyst and there's somebody in the background sitting on a laptop while the field of play is going? Is that also part of the remit, that the coaching staff requires a bigger, beefier team behind them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, some of it's done remotely as well. So we will contract with companies that can offer us, a bank of data after a game, for example. And then it's up to us as coaches, as you rightly say, to build that relationship with your analyst and to say, okay, the analyst needs to know he's going to get a bank of data. Okay. He needs to sit with the coach and say, okay, what is the information that we think is useful information? And that you can use. We've got 2 days between matches, let's say, and after a match, I will receive, in the IPL, a bank of data. I go through the game again on video, and then the analyst, if I've got a good relationship with him, which I do, he knows the kind of information that I'm looking for. I need to then share the information onto the head coach and the team and the players, and we do that through a series of meetings. And then whatever video I potentially need from him, that will be presented as well. So the relationship between your analyst, who essentially is dealing with the big bank of data, he then executive summarizes it, and then I take it to the players to work on our KPIs and to understand where we're at. So that's how we use it. And then I think the most important thing is that we are building our KPI plan based on what data is available to us, so that we can build a stronger team strategy.
Right.
And it's all based on what our skill sets are. So I'm looking for information that aligns with our skill sets. And then if you can do that, then we can play to our skill sets rather than we building a plan that is outside of what we're actually capable of doing or we have the potential to do, which I think gets really, then it gets really exciting, because then you can, then there's a real sync, I think, between what the analytics are telling us and what we can deliver on.
And this sync that you're talking about, I think, is obviously specific to each team's needs. A quick story here from my side. I was at a conference in Barcelona a couple of years ago where you had the head of the performance analytics team from Liverpool FC and from the Houston Rockets and a couple of other guys on stage. And they were talking about how this connection between the analytics team and the coaching team works. And I found it really interesting that the Liverpool guy, the head of analytics there, was talking about I don't interface with Jurgen Klopp at all, the coach of Liverpool. I don't even talk to him. We talk to the recruitment team, or we talk to one other. So the coach wanted to create a bit of separation, that I don't want to have too much data That's my personality. I don't want my players to have too much data. We want our data to go into recruitment and some of it to come into the coaching staff through the right channel. So there was no direct interface between the team and the analytics team. Versus the Houston Rockets, he was saying we're the complete opposite. Our analyst rides the bus with the team when we're traveling, on the flights, on the buses, when you're traveling state. But players, whoever wants, can go down, sit down with him. So that it's super open. The coach says, whoever wants to go, go. Jurgen Klopp's kind of protective approach is I don't want people's minds to get filled up with too much data and keep a clear mind, I guess, then there's nothing wrong with that philosophy, as long as you use data in the right way. Versus the Houston Rockets are saying, take it. Whoever wants it, get it. It's there. It's free. It's yours. Now do with it what you will. And they're trusting their players. So lots of different approaches, and you have to find what works for you with what works for the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's nice to have those different approaches. I think in cricket, we certainly allow players to go and access whatever information they need to access. There's no hiding from that. And also we expect players to have done their homework, so they need to know within their skill sets what are the kind of relevant things that they need to learn as well along the way. So we certainly create an environment as best we can for that. I want to take it to the next level next year. I want to formalize that a little bit. So I want to have um, what we call, I don't know what it would be, tech hour or video analysis hour, whatever it is, where players actually come to a formal area and there'll be um, analysts available plus coaches to discuss things that data is telling us and that the players can learn. So that it forces their learning opportunity to be a little bit more formalized rather than we just leave it to them, to do that.
Sure.
And then
So to actually put it
and
in the
then
schedule.
yeah, and then I think the other component of that is recruitment's a separate thing. So we use a couple of different companies to understand recruitment,
Mhm.
and each company offers something slightly different. So you've got to go to the ones that you trust, and that can work for you. So we do that separately. But I think when you're in the tournament itself, our the most important thing for me is I think that players need simplified information. So I think
Yeah.
technology and analytics and any information that you're trying to acquire to build your strategy should be layered. And by the time it gets to the player, it's the executive summary. It's like, this is where we're
Right.
at. These are the things that we're learning. These are the things that are important to us. So let me give an example. We were tracking certain KPIs in the IPL this year with Gujarat Titans, and we weren't only tracking it. We were also ranking ourselves against other teams.
Mhm.
And then what we were able to formulate in 4 games is just a nice little sample size of what we were tracking and what our KPIs, how we were tracking on our KPIs then, but at the same time where we were ranked in the competition. And we were able to pivot our strategy after 4 games in one or two phases of the area that we're looking at in a T20 game, and we were able to make a significant shift. And that strategy shift actually helped us significantly in the tournament. So that would be a good example.
And that's a great story because numbers without context are nothing. Everything
Exactly.
is relative, and it doesn't matter how fast you run unless you only know how fast you're running when you're comparing it to somebody else who's running next to you, if
Yeah.
they're running the same
The
pace.
scary thing is that
And,
because you're mid-tournament and you're trying to build up your plan as the tournament's going along, we needed 4 games to get a
right.
kind of a decent sample size. Anything less than that, and then you go to the players and say, guys, listen, I think this is an area of the game that we need to get better at. It's not credible enough until you've played enough games to prove it, because that's what you're doing in the end as coaches. You're actually
Yeah.
proving the strategy to the players, and you're saying, okay, or building a compelling case to say, guys, we need to think of this phase of the game differently. And once you can build the argument up as a coach, and you get the buy-in from your senior players, and you can put it, and then you can introduce it into your strategy.
And this is what I love about the parallels between the sports world and the startup world. I mean, you can apply to many industries, but a startup essentially is continuously hypothesis testing.
Yeah.
You, yeah, you have a theory, and you have a hypothesis that hey, we think this will do well. Now you have to have the patience to give it enough space. You can't kind of knee jerk after 2 games and said you got to throw it out. No, you have to give it a bit of space to breathe, and then identify and then act quickly,
Yeah.
and then say, okay, fail, success, and move to the next hypothesis. Then this repetitive, continuous process, if you
We
do it
actually
well.
we're actually going through that with CoachED at the moment because we're wanting to gain more traction in the Indian market. So we are trying different methods um, to allow us to build up our leads and then to be able to convert our leads. So we're building up some nice leads through an AI product that we're dabbling with at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in the testing phase. So we're going, okay, that works. Now what's not working? Now how can we get a stronger conversion rate? What are the things that we need to do and try? What are the potential leads saying to us? What are they telling us? And it's quite fun to understand, like through the use of the data, where it's working and where it's not working.
Absolutely, this is the opportunity to get creative and be creative
Yeah,
and kind
exactly.
of
That's why I love
play
entrepreneurship. It's great fun.
it is okay. So, and that was a nice segue actually from my next bit that I want to talk about, which is new technology that you're excited about within the cricket space. Now, there's been let's say a wide spectrum of things. We've seen quite a few devices, a little bit of some wearable tech, little either stickers or attachments on cricket bats, which are giving you again a bunch of data on what's happening in and around the bat. There are some who have been talking about a smart ball, and yet to see a credible one, I guess. Sleeves, all sorts of wearable devices, bails on the equipment. So one is smart cricketing equipment is one area. AI driven analytics, I can imagine, is another area. What areas are you most excited about, either from a coaching perspective or from a player side, say something that will impact, say, grassroots cricket and the growth of it overall?
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned a few there. I mean, from an individual perspective, I'm really interested to understand how technology can help us with bat swing, can help us with power, um, maybe the biomechanics of how the body works. And I think there's a great opportunity to engage with um, um, those that are designing and developing these technologies to be able to understand that better, and then potentially to be able to influence um, those that are developing athletes to look at these certain areas, specifically within either bowling quicker, um, power as a batsman, because the franchise game asks for power. Um, anything biomechanically or anything physiologically, I think there's some great opportunities there. Yes, and you mentioned a few technologies there which I think are helping. Um, but again, how as a coach can you use it to to affect change, I suppose, or to build a compelling case for guys to go down that route. I think what we are seeing in T20 cricket now is we're seeing this real interest in power.
Mm-hmm.
And so any technologies that can showcase or build a compelling argument that um, tells someone that if you swing the bat in a certain way, it's going to give you more power, or if you build up your strength in a certain area, that's going to build up your power. Anything around that, people are going to be interested in.
And so this is happening at the elite level. Do you think it's the same technology or solutions which are applicable at the juniors level as well? Like an under 14 cricketer, should they be conscious of, hey, how what my stance is and what my bat speed is going into a big shot as I'm opening up?
So if he knows that if he sees what the professionals are doing and he knows that that could be where he ends up, then he absolutely will look at the technology. Let me give you an example in rugby union, which we have here in South Africa. It was about 15 years ago that the game changed significantly enough because everyone was watching the professionals and saying, well, every individual now is on proper weight training programs, and you're suddenly getting every player now is over 80 kilograms. Your forwards are up at 100 kilograms. So what's happening at junior level now? I mean, even my son, who's 16 years old, he's on a weight program,
Mhm.
because he realizes for him to compete with everyone else, you've got to be at that level. So I think that's an example of any technologies that bring in a compelling argument for a player to look at that, they're going to go for it. My sense
Yeah.
is that, they will. The other technology that I would really like to see brought into the game, which I don't think is done enough, and we see this at the professional level, is like, why can't a coach communicate with his players?
You mean on field live during play?
Yeah, or communicate with his captain. Like surely we've got to a point, because you're seeing it in other sports. I mean, it just drives me mad. Like we're in a pressure moment in an IPL game, 100,000 people in the stadium. Captain's not sure which bowler to bowl. And, we have to do sign language on the side of the field to get a message across. Have we not got to a point where, we can just speak to him on an earphone or something? This is what we think. Because also we've got real-time information coming through the analysts. The analysts have access to that. So we can make a decision as a coaching staff in one ball that could turn a game around. But we're not allowed to get the information out on the field. It's
But
crazy.
I mean, this is like, I guess not a technology problem, because we all like a lot of cricketers are on the field talking to commentators as a fan engagement thing, and
Yeah,
to be in, so that's already there.
yeah.
I guess this is in the laws of the game thing, which maybe the ICC or the relevant boards have to do.
What I keep hearing from the powers that be, it's all around match fixing, and the dangers of what it can
Or
bring.
like that's channel being tapped into
Yeah,
in some way.
exactly. But what I don't understand is, then how can they use it in other sports? Because there are these issues in all other sports. I mean, there's gambling in every sport.
Right.
So like, how come we can listen into, or a coach can communicate, you know, with these players in other sports? It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway,
Yeah, I
in
mean it's true.
baseball they still use sign language, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, again, they've tried to move forward with it. American football, the coach is communicating with his
Yeah,
quarterback. So you limit how much sign language. Baseball, I can tell you, actually had a controversy where there was a team that was caught interpreting, let's say, the communication that was happening on radio. So there is a challenge, and maybe you're right. There is a technology issue how secure you can keep this
yeah,
communication, especially in a high pressure environment where the stakes are so high. But fair. Okay. I think that's a good one. Well, keep an eye out. I've seen a couple of solutions like this come into football, into soccer,
yeah,
where, I mean, because the field of play is much wider for a coach to get across a piece of communication to, I don't know, left back on the other side of the field is, yeah, no, your voice is not going to carry that far. So I have seen a couple of solutions which will either be a earpiece or it'll speaker strapped to the vest, which is allowing at least one-way communication, if
yeah.
not dialogue, but at least you can get a message across. But of course, this is only for training and such now. Nothing which
Yeah, and
is
I think
legal.
as well, Ryan, there's some quite good work going out with guys that are developing technologies around real game ready or real time game scenarios, so guys can train under pressure.
Right.
Um, which I quite like. I remember it was actually in Germany a few years back, where I got invited to go to a soccer club that had produced a indoor kind of training facility which replicated a match situation. And they basically created these speakers that would have the noise of
Right.
70, 80,000 people in the room as you were prepared to take a penalty kick. I thought, like, geez, that's really cool, So I think there's more of that going on. I know we've got simulators that players can now start to use, um, which are much more accurate now. The simulators through the algorithms and everything. So the bowler can run up and bowl in a net situation, um, execute a ball that he thinks is the right ball to execute and then with the result being almost like an algorithm result of
Right.
this is what's going to happen. And I think once those technologies come in from a training perspective, it's going to be really cool to for players to train that way. So like a batsman will be facing up to a bowler, and we will know exactly what ball is going to be bowled, and the batsman can actually train that. So I think once it starts getting to that, it's going to be really interesting.
That's it. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like the simulated environments thing. Last thing on the new technology piece. Anything around augmented or virtual reality that you've seen which you found interesting?
Um, Probably just what we've spoken about. Just
Mhm.
more the you're getting into these environments where you actually have you can almost see the match in front of you. So I think there's more of that. I mean, I know there's headwear technology that's
Yeah.
already been brought in for that. Again, is it useful and is it being used extensively in professional team environments? I don't think yet, but certainly we're heading in that direction. And I think once you do get that tie up and that link where you see either players or coaches saying this is really useful and this can make a difference to our training, or it can make a difference to our strategies, or it can make a difference to even a pre-match, like on the day, match day preparation. It might
Yeah.
even assist in that, where a player goes into a back room and prepares himself for what he's going to be faced with at that moment. He might be walking into bat in the 16th over, and he can actually be trained up with some eyewear or something that is helping him prepare for that moment in real time. And I don't think that that's far away. And I think you will find that now. You'll get to a stadium, and instead of your next batsman sitting in the dugout, he's actually in a room at the back of the stadium,
Mhm.
and he's preparing himself for what he's going to be confronted with in the match. So I think that's not far away, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, sounds fun. Sounds fun. It sounds like this is the kind of stuff that you want to be in the experimenting room. You
Yeah,
know, when they're
exactly.
testing out this kind of stuff and put on these weird headsets and
Yeah,
these little suits, and yeah, let's be the guinea pigs for it.
yeah.
Good stuff, Gary. I'm really glad we covered a lot of good tech that might become the future of cricket now or maybe down the line. Let's talk about the future of CoachEd. What have you guys got lined up over the next 6, 12, 18 months? You already mentioned India as a market that you're looking at, maybe the US. What else have you got coming?
Yeah, we've got four significant courses that we are selling on CoachEd at the moment, and I think for us it's just to we just want to build our base out as much as we can, and certainly go into these different environments and prove that we can actually scale coach education. And so it's an interesting time for us. We've been around for nearly 4 years now, and for us, we need to prove to potential investors that we've got a product that is potentially scalable, and that we can, we can create coach education access to a broader environment. So we're doing that with our current courses at the moment. In terms of new stuff that we are looking at, we are really interested in building a coach directory, which is accessible to everyone around the world. So a digital coach directory. So you plug in your details into our environment, and that gives your details access to any cricket environment in the world. So
As in
we,
for recruitment.
yeah, yeah. So we're designing that at the moment, and we're not actually far off that being able to activate. So that's one area. And another area that we're looking closely at is compliance, coaching compliance. So we feel that every coach should have some form of a certificate before he can actually earn a living out of coaching. So we're engaging with authorities in trying to understand that compliance element. And we've engaged with a very interesting company here in South Africa who have created safeguarding compliance and built an online course that we want to partner up with, um, to make sure that every coach is safeguarded compliant as well. In other words, understanding how to working with minors
Yeah.
and vulnerable athletes in any way, and making sure that they're doing it the right way. So that's all done online as well. All those courses online. So we're kind of playing in that space a bit, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun as a startup business, realizing that 4 years we're still in the startup space,
Oh,
and just
very
working out
interesting.
ways that we can have access to a greater audience.
4 years. You're still a baby, Gary. You're just about finding your feet. You're
Listen,
just about
we've had our first round of funding already, and we've given
fantastic.
away some equity in the business, which has been exciting but quite nerve wracking as well. So we're walking the journey of a startup.
If you close the round of funding, then you're off and running now. Now it's off to the races. Yeah.
Yeah,
So good stuff. Congratulations to you and the team, of course, in executing that.
yeah.
Yeah. Any details you want to share or any other, let's say, call to action for our listeners who are maybe come from a cricket background or the vast majority might not come from a cricket background. For partnerships, anybody who's interested in learning anything about coaching or wants to take this to your association, clearly these are the guys for it. Gary, what's the best place to reach you or the team? Is there an email on the website that people can reach out
Yeah,
to or something?
easy. I mean, general access is www.coachedcricket.com. So
Mhm.
that's our website. But also we can also go through emails. Russell has that information if you want to give it out as well.
Super.
That's Russell at GaryKirsten.com. And yeah, from there we kind of we can reach out to whoever needs to either make contact with us or we can contact them.
Yep, that's Russell with two S's and one L
Correct.
at GaryKirsten.com,
Correct.
and we'll put all of these details in the show notes. Gary, I've taken you a little longer than we had initially planned, but I'm glad we got to do it. It's really been an honor and a privilege to have you on our show. Thank you for taking the time. I do have one last question, if you'll indulge me. It is my favorite question to ask. It's the one I always end the show on. I like to believe we're sports fans first for choosing to work in this industry. And I'm dying to hear what has been your favorite sporting moment.
My favorite sporting moment, yeah, I've often asked this question, but I would say, my most enjoyable experience as a cricket practitioner was the 2011 World Cup, and just being with
Yeah.
the Indian team.
And you're not just saying that because I'm Indian.
Just being there, yeah. I just think the whole journey, and then I think what it's allowed me to create to venture out into a foreign country, and to have had a 3 year experience like that, and then ending with winning the World Cup with the team, and then the follow on from that, just being involved in IPL and having gone back to India probably over 50 times now, where I need to call India my second home, has been from a cricketing experience as rich as you could ever have.
Gary, you are honorary Indian, honorary legend, whatever you would want. I think India would bestow upon you very, very happily. Once again, thank you for making the time. Today has been one of those days. I love what I do. I'm very privileged to work in the sports tech industry. I have to tell you, the entire SportsTech X team was very excited when I broke the news that you'd be joining us, and they've been getting messages and how you done and we've prepared. But from all of us, thank you for taking the time. Today is one of those days that certainly yeah, I'm very happy, and it's been a great day of work. Thank you for joining us, Gary.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, guys, that is a wrap for the first episode. It's only the first in our series of our focus on innovation and cricket tech. Remember, for this entire month, we're going to be talking about all the cool stuff that's happening in cricket tech. Gary covered a lot of very interesting topics, from coaching tools to analytics to wearable devices. We're going to get deeper here. We have a startup lined up. We have an investor lined up, maybe even somebody from the MLC. Stay tuned to find out. See you guys next week. Ciao.